I drove from Tampa to the Florida Keys 3 days after getting married. My husband was in front of me. I was not an experienced driver or someone who had driven 8 hours in one day before. I was tired. The last few days had been exciting, but I was anxious to get to Key West where we'd make our first home. We left in the morning and planned to take our time getting there, stopping for breaks as needed. In the afternoon, we crossed the 7-mile bridge past Marathon but before Big Pine Key. The 7-mile bridge makes you realize how long 7 miles is. It seemed to last forever, and between the water and the sun being so bright, the road ahead of me looked like a mirage. We crossed the bridge and were on the overseas highway. I can't remember the mile marker. It started with a jolt. I was driving and startled like I had just woken up. I realized I was tired but shook it off, thinking I could make it. How much longer would it be? This must have happened at least a few times before the next thing I remembered were bits and pieces that didn't make sense to me.
We were driving from Tampa to the Keys. I was driving in front and she was following me. We had stopped a few times and were being careful because she had never driven this far or long. We passed the 7-mile bridge and a few minutes later, in my rear view, I see her car swerve and then drive into a concrete pole on the side of the road. I hurried to turn around and get to her. When I got there, the car was smoking, and she was unresponsive over the steering wheel. I yelled at her to try and get her attention, but she did not respond. Finally, I broke the window and pulled her out of the car. An FHP trooper had been a few cars behind and pulled in to help and call for an ambulance. I remember our wedding napkins on the side of the road and being scared, not knowing if she would be okay.
An EMT asked me the year, who the president was, and if I was married. All I remember is that since we had just been married a few days before, my fingers felt my hand for a ring. I didn't know if I was. The next thing I knew, I was waking up in a hospital bed. I had fallen asleep at the wheel.
She had fallen asleep at the wheel. She was lucky. She had some severe fractures that would require physical therapy, and the car was totaled. But she was alive.
Did you know that 1 in 25 drivers reported falling asleep while driving in the last 30 days? In fact, according to national studies by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, AAA, CDC, and the National Safety Council, drowsy driving or driving with little sleep makes you 4 times more likely to crash, the same crash risk as driving while impaired. Before you get behind the wheel, weigh the risks. Drowsy driving is impaired driving and puts you, those you love, and others on the road in danger of being involved in a crash with injuries or death. If you are exhibiting signs of drowsy driving, such as yawning or blinking frequently, trouble remembering the past few miles driven, missing your exit, drifting from your lane, hitting a rumble strip on the side of the road, pull over to rest, or have someone else drive. You wouldn't drive impaired. Why would you drive while drowsy?